What's up, Ward Wrestling here? So awesome. I only expected to have the king of the Michigan Revolution on, and now we have who's becoming the queen of the Michigan Revolution. I'm going to totally mess up your name. So go ahead, Emily, say it so I can pronounce it too.
It's Eliana.
Eliana. But no, the last one, Eliana
Bomarito.
Bomarito, Eliana Bomarito. She is a badass. She won a few titles there in high school, and now she's killing it on the world stage. Thanks for jumping in. She just happened to be at the house. They're having graduations today in the area, so she's there to support the Flores family. Mario, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Good, man. This is
Good to
so
see.
cool.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. And I haven't seen you since Detroit. I know my son went up and saw you last year and had some practices before he went off to college. And the first year of college has been quite an experience. It started out with kind of those freshman things that go through the mind, but he's kind of locked in now and he's loving the sport again and he's been moving on. So, and he says he'll
How,
come up and see you again.
how cool is Naperville?
Oh man, it's like what was that old show we used to watch with like the police officers in like this little town. It was like the greatest little town in the world. Remember that show? And it
Uh,
had it was up, I think it was black and white still. It's like
yeah,
that. It's like the perfect little
yeah,
town.
like Mulberry, like
Mulberry.
yeah, there
Yes,
it is.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I know Eliana, you just got back from Beach Nationals, right?
It was qualifiers, so
And you qualified for the Beach World team.
yes, I did.
That's awesome. So next you go off. Is it France? Did he say?
France is my next trip. Yes,
Awesome. Is it? Do you really do you have you loved the transition to the sand? Is it way more fun?
I really enjoy it. Other than the sunburn, I think it's very nice and relaxing, and just like I get to be outside and I get to travel to other places. So it's definitely very cool.
Yeah. When I spoke to Jabari, he was talking about how you really have to make your adjustments with your footwork because if you don't, your foot kind of digs in, and if you kind of lean the wrong way, you could just fall right to your face. So you
Yeah,
really
you could
need
get
to
stuck
adjust.
or yeah.
we really had to make like several like foot adjustments when we were wrestling in the sand. There were some things that the international kids that were doing, and then we were like, Ellie, you got to pound this way, or we got to move this. So it was really just like an adjustment on placement and how you have to rotate to avoid exposure or hitting first, right? So like when you land, you have to land with your legs back, almost like in a planked sprawl, so that your knees don't touch the sand first. So
Oh,
there's like a few like technical adjustments that she's had to make, but for the most part, she just jumped right in and adapted well.
and it seems like the UWW is really promoting the beach thing too, because I've only experienced this. I kind of am watching the U17s and U15s and U20s and my son getting involved with going down and competing at the Puerto Rican trials. But I was told that so in Lima, you qualify for freestyle and Greco, but on the last day, anybody can go and register for the beach wrestling part of it. So it feels like it's not really if you qualified for everything else, I guess you qualified, right? But you can go sign up for it. I guess that's their way of promoting it and encouraging it and saying, hey, you're here already, come and wrestle. So we're really seeing the growth of it, aren't we?
I think the numbers almost like tripled this year in North Carolina at the Beach Nationals. Uh, and if you've never been, I had my first experience in Romania last year with her. It was awesome. So it's like you wrestle on the beach. It's easy to understand, and then it's like a luau afterwards, right? So you're having beachside drinks and hanging out, and then you wrestle, and then they just run and jump in the water, and then you come back, and then at the end they had music and food,
So,
and it was
so as you're coaching, they're walking up like, what would you like to drink? Would you like a tiki? Uh,
yes,
so Eliana, at what point do we put like, so you remember when you were a kid and they'd have like those beach boxes and they'd have all the sand in there at the park? Like, at what point do we set that up in the corner of Michigan Revolution and start being like the funnel to the beach world champions coming out of the USA?
Well, I mean, Mario did talk about it last year. It just make a little sandbox, but you know, we kind of just find little areas around, and so it just hasn't happened yet.
Across the street from my club, there's a my buddy owns the restaurant and they have a beach volleyball courts right there.
Oh,
And so
perfect.
that's where we go. We go across the street and train. I just feel like my dogs would just play in the sand and then track it through the whole gym and it would just be a mess.
And you think they would leave little bombs for the kids? So the dogs would leave little gifts for them. They'd be wrestling in the sand and be like, what is that?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
that's awesome. So Michigan Revolution, obviously. And didn't you move into a new place or a bigger place in the last few years?
No, we just took over the whole space. About
Because I
so
remember you saying you expanded.
yeah, so we were like a tenant inside of a building, 30,000 feet. And then through the course of time, we had one of the guys who was a pitcher for the Tigers. Or a catcher for the Tigers. He was in the back and he had, 6 or 8 baseball tunnels. And then we had like a strength and performance guy. So we were all like 3 leases under this big space. And then 3 years ago, when I took over the whole building, we converted the baseball to pickleball and we moved wrestling into where the strength training was. And then we added a whole ninja section. So our little kids, it's actually an amazing model that Dave Mayer developed up in Canada. As he takes all of his kids and he puts all of them in ninja before they come to wrestling. So so now they're jumping and pulling and they're doing the warp wall and they're climbing ropes and they're doing all these things to develop just physical awareness and how their body moves in space. And then he brings them to wrestling and now they have they have a way better base for body mechanics than they do just coming in and trying to introduce, basic tumbling into wrestling like we would with, introduction to sport.
Which is
So
why I think, don't we see a lot of the girls and boys that transition from like gymnastics? Don't we see them start to excel pretty quick because they understand how their body moves and
yeah,
balance like that?
it's a great model. We've done it this is our first year doing it. And our novice kids had a crazy amount of success. Like we had kids in first and second year winning. I mean, obviously it's little kid wrestling, but they were winning the youth state championships in their first and second year. Just kind of our system of training paired with this new model of strength development and coordination has just been really big for our group. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that. But yeah, it's not like is it like Little League out there where their kid is 5 and now they're screaming and yelling because they need to win the USA Olympic championships at 5 years old and they're yelling and screaming.
I don't even I hate to say this and I know that some other coaches were like, hey, so and so doesn't go to youth wrestling tournaments and I usually don't either actually. I didn't go. Last time I went, I had to sit out in my truck for like 3 minutes and like get my life like
Yeah. Yeah.
I was so overwhelmed by the chaos of screaming that I couldn't take it. I almost had like an anxiety, and I'm like the calmest person in America, and I had like an anxiety attack, and I was like, I can't go to these.
I've talked to referees before, and they're like, I don't referee tournaments if they're under this age, because they said that, and it's not the kids, they love the kids, but they have issues. There's certain people in the stands that go absolutely nuts, and the kids are like 3.
Well, let's really talk about that for a second, right? Like if we're going to jump into this and maybe share some information, where did we all get the memo that said this is appropriate behavior as youth wrestling parents, right? Like if I'm there and if I just scream at the top of my lungs, whatever, and it's word vomit, right? It's not like it's technical, like a direction, or it's not encouragement. It's just word vomit at the loudest level that you possibly can, and screaming. I saw a dad scream half, till his voice went away, and then he was still trying to scream half.
Well, I mean, it's one thing if you're screaming like something technical, like you said, like you're screaming, hey, shoot, hey, come off the bottom, hey, get the, but some of the things that you hear aren't that.
And I guess that the part is, yes, I'm making fun of you because it's crazy. The second part is, what really should be happening is we should be encouraging, and we should, you know, understand circle left, circle right, right? You can really be a good coach and not have a huge space of information, and do a good job with a tone that is hearable, right? Like if I'm in this, we call it like a sweet spot of coaching. Like if I'm above like my normal talking voice, but I'm still loud enough that you can hear me, and directions are sprawl, circle left, circle right, grab his wrist, really basic things. Like for me in the corner, that's how I coach. I'm not running through the list of techniques that you need to, left hand down, circle right. We'll be like,
Yeah,
like,
and I think
hey,
as a parent, we all learn, like, so I was never a wrestling parent, right? I grew up playing baseball and football and basketball. And in that world, parents say different things, right? So I was used to, you kind of get yelled at to do certain things like, hey, play defense, you suck, whatever, right? Like, come on, block the ball, tackle, what the hell's the matter with you, right? Like certain things, right? Like, did you not see the ball? Swing the damn bat, right? Like, see the ball, hit the ball, what the hell, right? Like stuff like that, right? And so when my son started wrestling, I'm yelling stupid things, right? And I didn't know any better. Well, this was 6 years ago, whatever it was, and the coach that was coaching him pulled me aside and said, you've never been involved in the sport, have you? I said, no. He said, so let me explain to you what's going to happen if you continue to scream the way you do. You're going to lose him. You're going to affect his growth. You're going to cause him not to like you, not to want you in the gym while you're wrestling. You need to calm down. Is it okay to be loud? Yes. Is it okay to cheer? Yes, he said to me, but don't the things that you're doing now. It's not that sport, right? And so I had to learn too, right? And then also, I remember we went to a camp. So we ended middle school and we went to a camp before ninth grade, Appalachian State. And every time he would get done with a match, well, he lost 30 straight. So there was a lot of losing. Every time he would get done, I would run to him and like, you okay? You okay? You okay? And so eventually he said, Dad, you got to give me 10 minutes. Okay. You can't bother me for 10 minutes. I've got to recuperate. Right. So yeah, I think as parents, we can learn too how to adjust. And sometimes I can still get a little carried away, but yeah, we need to, hold on. Coach Balmaceda. He's a pretty good coach.
Yeah, you guys have some really good coaches down there.
So yeah, I remember talking to somebody once and then we'll get into better happy things, but well, some are happy. I remember talking to somebody and they said they were is it Tony Ramos? Is that the guy that's at North Carolina, or was that North Carolina? They were at one of his camps and I think he's the guy. He said the guy that was coaching, he's very technical. Like he has a system and he sticks to the system and that's the way he coaches. And there was a parent, the kids was like 6, and if you've been to one of Tony Ramos's camps, it's very hard. Like you go, 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 right? Because he's got some sort of methodology to what he does, right? So he's telling me they're doing all this, and this young kid is just struggling, right? He's little, sweating, he's having a hard time, and the parent is yelling at him, "You're a disgrace to the last name. You need to work harder. You give us Bob," like stuff like that. And they said the coach went over to the parent and said, "You and your kid need to leave," and removed him from the practice. And somebody was telling me that story, and I was like, "Wow, that's interesting. That must have went over well." But but I guess that's a good thing, right?
We've done it. So two parts. Ellie didn't win. Did you win one match your first year? She didn't win a lot. Her first year.
He's winning now.
She's winning now. So Ellie did just get the national player of the year, all sports. And so she'll be going next, like in 2 weeks. She's going out to Vegas, and she'll get the national player of the year, all sports.
And she committed, right? Did I see something where she committed to a school, or did I see some sort of something that a grad?
She just got national player of the year, and then she graduated. Now we're just on the hunt to find another location, because she's done at Indian Hills.
She's done it any, I mean, not that I'm biased or anything, but man, there's a great place in Naperville that has a pretty good women's team.
Yeah, Kendra's there, so we're all good.
Yeah, not that so, we haven't talked in a little bit. I mean, we text a bunch and we haven't talked in a little bit, but obviously you lost your very best friend in the past year. And what a tough moment. I remember you and I talking about it, and he meant so much to the wrestling community. I was talking to Buck Watkins the other day. He reminded me a little bit of him, the way he talks, and he's all energetic and exciting. But man, how I see you do a lot of stuff in memory of him. How's his family doing? How are you doing? And how's that whole Kraus group doing in the last year? I mean,
probably the toughest thing that I've got. I've never lost like a best friend like that before. Mike and I were really close, and so I think we had a conversation. We were talking about best friends, and they were asking who our best friends were, and I was like, I don't have a best friend, and they were like, you don't have one, and I like emotional. I was like, my best friend passed away, and so it was a tough time for me. And I think like right now, just doing all the things that I've always would do in the past, we would connect right after the Olympic trials. We would do that. Like when the sun starts to come out here in Michigan, we would go to the golf course and we'd talk wrestling and NCAAs and transfer portal and, all the stuff that you want to call somebody and talk about. Those are the things that I would want to pick up the phone. And I feel like that's for for people all over the country, that was Mike for them, right? So when Mike was on the road traveling from camp to camp, he would do that, and people would call him and they would think of, man, I got to tell Kraus this story, because he's going to tell me an awesome story back.
yeah.
But then
He was so funny. What a big emotional person. What an exciting person to be around. I remember he was at a camp at Lake Highland Prep, and he's doing his picture thing. And I'm like, hey, Mike doesn't like pictures. And he goes, come here, Mike. He takes a picture with him. But I was like, he can do that. And then I remember he was in town. And I'm like, hey, I got 2 boys at the house. I mean, you want to come by and do a lesson with them? So he comes by, and I put mats out by the pool, and he runs around with them for hours, right? He just has a great time with them. And we go to I think it's like Chili's or something here locally, right? And we're there eating, and the little brother, my younger one, Zachary's like, man, I got to go to the bathroom. So we're like, all right. So we're sitting there, and it's like 15 minutes later, and Kraus looks at Daniel and goes, hey, man, your little brother must be taking the shit of his life. It was just, whatever came out was awesome. But yeah, I was glad to know him for the few moments I got to know him, and obviously the world misses him. But
yeah, what a legacy, huh? For me, being able to travel all over the country, do hundreds of camps with him, I really take some of those things, and you got to think about it. I might be the one person that's had 150 clinics with him, so I can take Krausisms and I apply them to my coaching and my strategies. and really try to maybe always take a little bit of Mike with me when I'm in the room, you know. He was so important, dude. But speaking of developing Rev, Mike helped me put the carpet down at Rev. You know, we would, you know, do carpet squares in the afternoon, and then we'd golf, and then we'd do practice. So because he's local,
his shirts with the hand placement,
yeah,
like
he used to live like 10 minutes from LA.
oh, yeah, he's awesome. Well, man, so Ellie, I know you're here in the picture and you're doing big things. You know, well, any colleges out there that need a girl, she's a hell of a wrestler. Like I said, I'm biased. You know, there's obviously a nice place. I think she'd look good in Cardinal Red, but the other places, I'm sure you have your pick of the litter, especially being the weight class you are. I'm just doing a little team right now for Spartan with the girls, and it's
Yeah.
hard to find a 170, to find a 190, to find a two. You know, it's so hard, just even with the boys' side, right? So I'm sure, I know at least on the boys' side, I always get calls from college coaches saying, you know, any big guys that are looking to wrestle and not play football in college? And I'm like, yeah, to try and get them names, because it seems like the bigger athletes are doing that direction. But so man, Rev is growing. So let's talk about it. Fargo's coming up as Team Michigan, and I know we're flying along here, but Team Michigan always goes out and they give California hell. I mean, you guys are always out there with the girls, and you guys are always pushing them. And Florida's been in the mix. Last year, I remember seeing Florida, Michigan, California going back and forth. And then we had some Florida, Michigan Rev girls in the finals. Oh man, what's the young lady's name that she's always makes her run to the finals there? Didn't she have to wrestle like Claire Bowie or something in the finals? One of your Michigan girls, she's a lower weight. She wrestled at that place in Detroit, but she was only like a freshman then.
Oh, it was Emmy Hicks and Gabby Tedesco.
Yes.
Was that it? Was that
Emmy
match?
Hicks, right,
They were like, yeah.
and then you had another girl, I think maybe she wrestled Val in the semis, or
We had who did we have?
you have so many good girls that come out there. I mean, the one right next to you, right?
Yeah, we're poised, man. We're thinking that, excuse me, obviously duels are happening in 3 weeks. We're taking our very best lineup that we can assemble out there with our team. We have some of our backups are Fargo All-Americans, top 4 and 5, right? So we have, I think, 3 or 4 kids that are just we're going to use as utility. We're all 3rd or 4th at Fargo because there's a world team member ahead of them. So we're going to take our very best team out to junior duels, see how that goes, and then Fargo. We're going to take our largest contingent we've ever taken out there.
And weren't you guys just well, I know you were at you went to Olympic trials. I can't believe I didn't see you.
I was 9 weeks on the road. I just finished 9.
Because I was at the Olympic trials, but I see so many people that were there that I'm like, man, I didn't see him. I guess I was just in the zone. I was so honored to be there to take pictures. I couldn't believe I was there. But yeah, I hope to see you out there. And I'm looking through your Michigan Revolution page right now because I'm like, man, I wish I could remember her name. She's always in the semis and the finals at Fargo. At least the last 2 years that I've been there.
Yeah, little Matt, you like little Maddie Neuenhouse. We have
and who was you had a one of your bigger weights that ended up winning and it was like
yeah, Sabrina Noss Sabrina Noss from our club has the ability to get her 5th Fargo title.
Oh wow.
Sorry, my dogs I got
Oh,
guys
that's okay. That's okay.
my house and my dogs.
I can't wait to see you out there. I'll be out there, but I think I'm gonna miss a few days of the girls, or I might miss the girls. I don't know when do the girls start? Is it the 13th?
He wrestles at Saturday and Sunday, right? Like the 14th and 15th, I think.
Yeah, so I typically would be there, but I'm going to Peru for the Pan Am U20s.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to Peru, then fly back to 15th and get on a plane the 15th and fly out to Fargo. So I'll be there. Well, you're usually there for the boys too, right?
Yeah, I'll stay. We have I'm gonna stay through freestyle. I'm not staying through Greco. My wife's retiring this year. Congratulations to her from teaching, and she's going to Europe with her.
Full-time photography now?
Yep, full time. She'll be well, and she's gonna be helping me at the gym. So we have a lot of moving parts there. So she's gonna come and help me there for a little bit, and then just give her a little bit of freedom to go up to the lake when she wants to. So
Yeah, I saw pickleball.
yeah, it's who would have thought, right? Like just to take something like that. It was dead space. It literally was, turf and dead space for 2 years, just sat vacant. And then I was like, yeah, I might as well do something with that. And we switched it over to pickleball. It's taken off. Obviously, pickleball is a super popular sport right now, super fast growing, and so a million people are getting introduced to it. So we're just taking advantage of that.
I mean, I think, well, we may start to see it get sanctioned in high school.
So like next fall, we will have after school pickleball clubs. So we already have 3 or 4 high schools that will come at like 3:30 to 5:30, and then they'll play pickleball amongst themselves.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I mean, it's not far away. I think the next 3 to 5 years, we're gonna be pickleballing it up.
That's so much fun.
Dude, it's great. And so for me, I play like 30, 45 minutes of pickleball and then go sit in the sauna. And like, that's my workout for the day. I'm getting a little,
I mean,
not really trying to
it's better
wrestle.
too than dodgeball for the kids, because they keep spraining ankles and doing all that stuff with the dodgeball. You could put them, hey, go play pickleball for a few minutes and get a sweat on, and then we'll get going.
Yeah, right.
And well, we should do this more often.
Yeah, all the time.
I can't wait to see you out in Fargo. And
Sure. We're
and man, obviously my condolences with your friend and your family. I know we were texting through the process, but you were down. Now he has a son in the military, right? Doesn't he have a son in the military?
stationed in Alaska.
And
Andrew,
then he has a son
that's home full
with
time.
a disability, right?
Yep, ADA, and he stays home with mom, Beth, and then he's got 2 daughters. One is a rising senior at Heartland High School where Eliana went, and then the other one is like I believe a sophomore at Michigan State. So it's alma mater.
I'm sure you're highly involved and helping out there, I'd imagine. That's awesome. Well, hopefully there's a soul out there that can be in our sport like he was, and energize the youth wrestling world like he did. And yeah, I think we definitely miss him, don't we?
Sure thing. Yeah. Ellie will be out there in Fargo with us. She's gonna
coach.
Yeah, she's got the corner.
That's awesome.
She's my muscle. So if I throw a brick and I don't get the call, I'm gonna be like,
send her. Yeah, we saw that last year. I mean, I've only been experiencing this the last few years, but I saw it was kind of cool last year to see some of the Florida kids that had graduated coming back and coaching. And I was talking to Coach Mason, and I'm sure you probably are in favor of this too. He always tries to reach out, and if there are kids that want to come back and be a coach on that team, he has no problem peppering in some of that so that they can experience it. And we want to grow the coaching in Florida, obviously, and in Michigan and all over the world. So I'm sure you do the same thing.
yeah. We're super excited. We've got Danny Swihart from Iowa. We've got Eliana. We got Kendra Ryan from North Central, who was made the Olympic trials, and Emmy Hicks, who was at Simpson College in Iowa there. So we've got a handful of our college girls coming back, and they're going to be on the coaching staff. And I think when you're developing women's wrestling, you got to put them in positions for them to get the experience and the exposure, and that's part of doing it, right? If you're going to build anything, you gotta give people opportunities to experience those things.
Yeah, I probably took pictures of Kendra because I was out there. I took shots of all the North Central girls that were wrestling, at least one. So it should be good. Well, man, I know you've got a full house there. Daughter's graduating, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, Sophie's going to Grand Valley, so we're happy about that.
Oh, nice, staying close.
Yep.
Oh, good, so you won't have to cry for too long.
I'm not gonna be like, "Grr."
They don't have dorms? No,
Yeah,
no, no, I'm learning now, like, well, Daniel's home for the summer now, so I get to see him. I get to see him when he's not with his girlfriend, so he's part-time with us because he's always with her. But no, he's resting, he's training for what he has coming up next, and he'll be up to see you. I told him I had you on this morning. I was having you on this morning. He goes, please, please make sure it's okay for me to go by and see him. I'm like, you don't even have to ask, just go see him.
yeah. When he's here, just give us a call. We'll be happy to see him again.
All right, Eliana, congratulations on everything you're accomplishing, and the world is definitely starting to know who you are. So keep going out there and put your name on things. That's awesome to watch. And obviously, uh, coming up around a guy like this, it's not a bad coach to have. So enjoy yourselves. Get back to your get back to your graduation party.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Good to talk to you.